Hi, this is Tanya Sheridan from nlsassiness.com. I'm an independent consultant with Close to My Heart, and today I wanted to teach you how to create this beautiful layout with our new stitched heart background die. So our background dies, or all of our dies, are heavy metal. If you flip it over, you can see all of the detail that is going to cut when you roll it through your die cutting machine. So you can see that there's a nice finishing stitched border, as well as some stitched hearts around and outlining some of the other hearts. So typically speaking, I've used this in lots of cards, and I wanted to find a new way to use it with a layout. And then that aside, I had also decided, so that you kind of know where I'm coming from, I wanted to create a layout for my daughter featuring this little dress that she wore for her birthday. And so I wanted to take the color of Rapunzel's dress, and it coordinated very nicely with our grape shimmer trim. Now the shimmer trim is much more bright and vibrant than our coordinating grape cardstock, and so this is what I wanted to use. But of course the shimmer trim only comes in about a 1/2 inch by 12 roll, and so I wanted to find a way to incorporate it into a layout to make it work, so that I could use this bright beautiful color to match her dress, but then also use this heart die. So this is what I've come up with, and I've used a couple of different techniques for using this die. So if you'll notice here, there is partial, because there's half, and there is the other half of the cut by itself, okay, and that I have used as a border, and I filled in some of the negative spaces. Over here you'll notice that I have a cascading row of the hearts as well that were cut from the die cut. So I would like to walk you through this today, and let's get started. I'm going to slide this out of the way. The first thing that we're going to do is get out our Versamat, and I have a piece of paper that I've already cut. Now the die itself is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it's going to be your standard A2 card size. So I've cut my piece of paper a little bit bigger than that, and I'm going to show you actually with our new Bluebell glitter trim how you're going to accomplish this. So you're going to take the film off. Here's the little film. You can see it's always easier if you leave a little bit of a hanging tag to make it easy for yourself to pull off. And I'm just going to line that up at the bottom of my card. And I'm going to use this first piece to tack it down because the adhesive is already there. So then I'm just going to continue upward, and I want to make sure that my seams are nice and even. And I'm going to go all the way up the entire piece, okay? So it's going to go all the way up. So we're going to do a little magic here. I'm going to show you what the finished look looks like. So this is one that I did in black, and so you'll see it has all of the edges and so forth. So then you're going to take your scissors, and I would use any that are non-stick, and you're just going to trim these edges down. And as you trim, you're going to collect little pieces of that shimmer trim, and you can just pull those off and throw them in the trash. You want to make sure that you get all of the adhesive cut off that overflows, because we're going to run it through our die cutting machine, and you don't want it to catch on the machine. I'm just going to cut all of those off. These are our Close to My Heart scissors, but any scissors that you have would work that have the non-stick. That's what the important thing is, because you don't want it to catch and jam your scissors. Okay, so that is what the finished product is. Now you notice a couple of them have left seams. Not a big deal. I'm just going to spread that out. So then I'm going to move my Versamat off for a second, and I'm going to pull out my die cutting machine. Now this one is the Close to My Heart one, and it is relatively new on the market. It has very long mats, which work very well with these bigger dies. So I'm going to put, let's see if I can center it a little bit better for you. I'm going to put this right on my plate. Now, if you remember correctly, I said that we cut it a little bit bigger, and that's just so that we have a margin. You could cut it to the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I like to have a little bit of space. So I just cut it that 1/4 inch bigger. I'm going to hold it down. Because we're going through the glitter paper, I'm going to go ahead and run it through. My tablecloth is slipping a little bit. The machine does have a suction, which works really, really well for your table, but of course the suction isn't going to work for a tablecloth. So I want to run through once and then run through again because I want to make sure that it cuts cleanly through all of my hearts. I'm going to pull this off and put this back on the table and then pull this over. So now you're going to notice that I can pull off this little rim. That's the part that we're going to throw away. And if it doesn't cut all the way through, because it was a small and it didn't catch it, then you can just trim that with your scissors, just like this. Now you're going to notice that the stitch details are not going to show up very well with the glitter paper, but they are going to show up on the other pieces. So then you can just pop all of those little hearts out, okay? And that's how you would get to our stage of having them cut out. So I'm going to move the mats over and pull out the trimmer. This is the pink one, which is the one that we're going to be working with today. And you can see I've already cut out all of my hearts and how cleanly they cut out. So I know that this is 4 1/4. So I am going to do just one spot past 2. And I'm going to hold this very tightly and closely because I'm cutting against an uneven edge. And I'm going to simply cut that overlay in half, just like that, okay? So then I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to move my mat aside. And the next thing that I'm going to do is actually glue that down to my base. And I'm going to put this here as a point of reference so that you can see that. We're going to pull our Versamat back out because this is a great hard surface for adhering. Just like that. Now I'm going to flip these over and I'm going to add adhesive to them. So I'm just going to adhere around the edges. You don't need a lot because most of it is going to be covered by foam tape. But we do want our edges to stay down. Pull those over. And then I am just going to position them about an inch over. Centering wise is totally up to you, but I'm going to do about an inch. And you notice this little piece down here is hanging up, and I'm okay with that because I know that that's going to be covered. Now, before you put that down, if you're uncertain if it's even, you can use another piece of paper or you could use a ruler. It looks like it's right below 4, so that's about where I want my piece to go. I think I want to scoot it over a little bit more. Okay. So we have those 2 pieces down. Then the next thing that we're going to want to do is I have cut this same piece out of our silver foil paper. And you'll notice on the silver foil you can really see the details. Maybe if I put it like that you can see it better. But you can really see the details of the stitching. So that is a bonus. But we're going to simply take the hearts, some of the silver. I'm not going to fill them all in. I'm just going to fill a few in, and we're going to put it right back in just like a puzzle piece. And you don't really need a lot of adhesive, just a little bit here and there to hold those into place. So I have 3 here, and then I'm going to do a couple over on this side. And I'm doing this beforehand because you might overlap your hearts, and it would be hard to put those back in to place. Actually, it looks like that one doesn't fit there. It's kind of like a fun little puzzle here. There we go. Most of the hearts are similar in size, but they are off a little bit. I'm going to put that one down here. And then I used a little one. So I'm going to put that one over here. And then this one over here, you can see partially. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck that just like that, okay? And then I'm going to just push that down. Then the next thing you're going to do is there's 2 layers of the silver foil paper. And so this I've already pre-cut. And I did add quite a lot of the foam tape. Now, you don't need to pull off all of the film if you don't want to. That's a personal choice. I tend to. But what we're going for is the sturdiness and the evenness so that your paper is not doing a mountain and valley and going up and then down. You want it to be a flat, even, okay? So I'm going to slide this over just a little bit. And I'm just going to center it. Now, do know that once your foam tape goes down, it doesn't like to move. So you want to be careful when you're putting it down. Okay, so that is that piece. Then the next piece, I've already done the same thing, and it just nests inside. So for this one, I actually used some thin foam tape, or some narrow. If you're not familiar with Close to My Heart's tape, we have a thin and a regular, but both come with two rolls, a narrow and a wide. And so this is going to be the narrow, and that's the wide. And one of the things that I like so much about our tape is that you can switch back and forth. They're all the same height as long as you're thin or regular. So if you're using the tape or the dots, the narrow or the wide, they're all going to be the same height. So if you run out of one, you can switch to another. Okay. So there's the double mat. By popping it up on foam, you can see it, you can see the elevation a little bit. And then what I did was I just cut my photographs in a collage form. So however you want to cut those, and I'll put my sizes attached to this video. And then once the photographs are done, I just picked a couple of the little hearts that I liked, and I popped them up on foam and then put them where it made sense for my photographs. So of course right here in the center of her head wouldn't be a great spot to put that heart. So do what makes sense for your individual photographs. And then other than that, this page is actually complete. So we're going to slide that over. And we're going to move on to the second page. Now, one thing I do want to point out on this page is that down here, there is a flip flap. Okay, and so I took it out of the page protector because the glare on the page protector is tricky in videos. But this little piece does flip flap from here to add extra pictures, okay? So I just wanted to be able to show you that at the beginning so you knew that where we were coming from. Okay, so that is actually the first step that we are going to do on the second page, is we want to put this down. This is our photo mat, so that we know where we're coming from. Okay, so here's my shimmer trim. Remember I said that I like to leave a little bit of a film? I do, because it makes it so much easier to pull. And I want to go about like that, so then I'm going to cut my shimmer trim, and I still have this pull tag. And of course you can trim that as needed. So then my other edge was at an angle. I'm going to flip that. And I am going to go right about there and put that down. Now this is our flamingo. So this is the same scenario as I had with the grape, in that the shimmer trim is brighter and more colorful than the standard paper. So I really liked the shimmer trim, and I wanted to use this shimmer trim over the actual paper. The bluebell, the other one I showed you, it's about the same. It's not that much difference except for you have the glitter. And of course the black is about the same. But these two broaden your color possibilities. Okay, so there's my mat. This is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 because the photo is 4 by 4, and then the flip flap is 4 by 4. So it still allows you to have a mat around the photo when the flip flap is closed. Now this piece is 4 by 4 exactly, so I just glued the second piece directly to my photograph and added that into the flip flap scenario. Okay, so we have this part done. Then the next part that we want to do is create that cascading. And so what I've done to make it easy is I actually positioned 3 of these, because if you remember correctly, I said we used about 3, or maybe I didn't, but I meant to if I didn't, 3 going down. That creates that cascading. So you could tape those down with washi tape. I found it was actually easier just to leave them be. And I'm using this fun tray. This is one that goes in our organizational system, and I just found that it has lots and lots of possibilities. So I'm going to set that there, and you have a wealth of hearts. And then you're just going to go and you're going to fill in the hearts with your pieces. So I did the color ones first. And if you're not sure where you're at, you can simply position a few, pick it back up, position a few. Some of them will overlap because our pieces overlap, and that's okay. I do want to do my big, I know I just told you to do the color ones first, but my big ones help kind of align where you're trying to go. So to do this layout the way that I did it, you would actually need 4 of these cut out, 3 in silver and 1 with your shimmer trim, and that gives you your big hearts for your foundation. Okay, so then I'm just going to go through, and of course if you want more of the hearts, more of the color, you could do a whole nother piece. There's nothing to say that you can't do that. You could also make it multicolor. I think that this would look beautiful as a layout if you did different colors, as long as the pieces go together. Now, if you notice on here, I did one little heart as an accent, and I just thought that that added a little bit of whimsicalness. I love doing I guess the reflection on my hearts in general, so I'm going to put that one there as well. And then we're just going to come and we want to make sure that our colors are balanced. So we're going to come up here. That one has dropped a little bit. We're going to do a big heart. And I'm not going to do all of them today. I just wanted to show you the concept and how you were going about doing it. Okay, so you can take off your pieces at any point. That's why I said it was a little bit easier for me, looks like this one is up here, to not tape these down, because I just kept playing with them however I wanted. So you can take these up to see if it feels like it's becoming that cascading look that you were going for. And then just know that one's scooched over. So then once you get all the way down, you might want to come back, and I'm going to show you on this piece so that you can understand better. Here you can see this is where this one lined up, and this is where this one lined up, and that's where that one lined up. So you can see just at looking at those that I added a couple just to keep that cascading effect flowing throughout the layout, okay? So that's how that you would do that. Then what you're gonna do is, if you choose, you have a title. Now I cut my title as priceless. You of course could cut anything else that you wanted. Let me get it out of the little bag. But I did use a heart for the period at the very end. So I'm going to take one of those, and I'm actually going to do that first. And so with this, let's use this little bag here so I don't catch. With this layout, I worked backwards. So I'm going to take my S and get it for measurement's sake and put my heart down, and then I'm going to go that way. And so it's up to you whether you want to use a ruler, or quite often what I will do is take the leftover from my shimmer trim and use that. Flip my S around here. I'm going to do more adhesive across. Then the last thing that you're going to do is you're going to take this shimmer trim, and you can take it as far as you want, but I wanted it to kind of look like I was outlining my title. So I'm going to come in just below, and our shimmer trim comes in lots of colors, but the newer colors, it's a thinner shimmer trim, and it's more like a tape than a trim, and so it works very, very well. Okay, so then what I did was I cut out these pieces for my journaling, and I wanted it to look like it was staggered. Now, each of these pieces, there should be 3. I think I missed the first one there. There we go. They're justified on the right side. And then if you notice here, they are popped up on foam, just to make them stand out a little bit more than the shimmer trim. So I actually did mine in Cricut, and I used the Cricut pen. You could do that, you could handwrite, what have you. I would recommend that you do your journaling, if you're gonna hand journal, if you do it before you pop it up on foam, because it's hard to write on top of that foam. But other than that, that's all there is to it. So you're taking, basically, just to recap, you're again taking this wonderful heart die that's designed for cards, and you're using it as a template to do your cascading hearts all the way down the layout. And then on the other side, you are using it, as an outline, and creating a whole new way to use your shimmer trim and extend your color palette. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, you're welcome to email me. My email address is the same as my website. It's inallsassiness@gmail.com. That's INALLSASSINESS @gmail.com. Whatever you do, make it sassy.